Every gilded cage is built with walls of comfort. The only question is what you're paying for them.
You've seen it in the movies, right? The brainwashed American soldier, captured by the enemy and turned into an unwitting assassin, programmed to kill with a secret trigger word. It's the classic stuff of spy thrillers.
It all really comes from the 1959 novel, The Manchurian Candidate. It painted this incredibly chilling picture of a war hero who's captured, reprogrammed, and then sent back home. All it takes is seeing a specific playing card, and boom, he carries out a political assassination with absolutely zero memory of it afterward. I mean, it's the perfect weapon, right? The perfect deniability.
But what if this wasn't just a story? The source material we're diving into today makes a really startling claim: that the technology to create a real-life Manchurian Candidate didn't just exist, but was actually developed and maybe even used by intelligence agencies.
Now, to back this up, the source doesn't just stick with theories and speculation. No, it presents what it claims are the very real human stories, documented accounts of people who believe they were the unwilling subjects of these exact programs.
The text introduces us to a man it calls David. He's a U.S. Air Force veteran whose life was basically shattered by a huge block of missing time. His story, his testimony, well, it forms the very backbone of the source's most disturbing claims.
So let's just walk through David's story. According to the source, he's a totally normal, studious kid who enlists in 1969. But then, something happens. He just wakes up in a military hospital. They tell him he overdosed on a simple sleep aid. But here's the thing, he has no memory of it. None. And after that, his entire personality changes. He goes from being resentful to totally passive, develops crippling anxiety, and even a phobia of computers. To make things even weirder, his official records get altered. He ends up going through over 200 therapy sessions just trying to figure out what happened to him.
And here's the argument the source makes. David's story isn't some isolated, tragic incident. Instead, it's presented as the direct result of secret government programs that were aimed at conquering the final frontier, the human mind itself. And right at the heart of all these claims is the infamous Project MKUltra. Now, we know some details about this real CIA program are public, but the source we're looking at paints a picture of something way bigger, way more sinister. It's described as this unethical quest to find the keys to controlling human behavior, and the test subjects? Unwitting American citizens, people who had no idea they were guinea pigs.
And when you look at the alleged toolbox they were using, wow, it wasn't just one thing. The source claims it was this multi-pronged attack on a person's consciousness, using everything from powerful drugs like LSD to hypnosis, sensory deprivation, even electric shock, all supposedly aimed at one single goal: to break a person's will and then rebuild it however they want it.
The source really leans into a potential cover-up, pointing out that in 1973, the CIA director allegedly ordered the destruction of 152 separate files all related to MKUltra. I mean, you gotta ask, right? The text poses the question, if this was all just harmless research, why destroy the records? Okay, so this is where everything really kicks into high gear. The source takes a huge leap here, moving from secret experiments to alleged real-world operations, suggesting a truly terrifying purpose for all this mind control tech.
It poses this really explosive question. What if some of the most pivotal assassinations in history weren't the work of ideologically driven lone nuts, but of programmed individuals? People specifically designed to commit a crime and then take the fall, with no memory of why they did it.
They point directly to the case of Sirhan Sirhan, the man convicted of assassinating Robert F. Kennedy. You have the official story, a lone gunman, angry about politics. But the source offers this wild alternative, that Sirhan was a hypnotized patsy who had total amnesia of the actual shooting and who might have been triggered by a mysterious woman in a polka dot dress who vanished from the scene.
And this quote, which the source says comes from Sirhan himself while under hypnosis, it is just chilling. "My body outsmarted my brain, I guess, pulled that trigger." It suggests this profound, scary disconnect between his conscious mind and what his body was doing, the absolute hallmark of a so-called Manchurian Candidate.
But the story doesn't stop there, not by a long shot. The source then pivots, looking to the future and warning that the technology of control has evolved way beyond drugs and hypnosis.
It talks about something called electronic brain stimulation, or ESP. And folks, this is straight out of science fiction. We're talking about tiny microelectrodes implanted directly into the brain that can supposedly influence your emotions, your memories, and your actions, all with the push of a button on a remote control.
And to show you just how powerful this is, the source brings up this wild, almost unbelievable experiment. You have a scientist, Dr. Jose DeGaldo, standing in a ring with a charging bull. He's not holding a cape, he's just holding a little remote. The bull is thundering towards him, and just before it hits, he presses a button. A radio signal hits an electrode in the bull's brain, and its rage just vanishes. The bull skids to a dead stop.
And that's the moment where the source drops its biggest bombshell. Because if you can do that to a charging bull with a radio wave, what could you do to a human? Or an entire population? The goal, it argues, isn't about controlling just one person anymore. It's about scaling that technology up.
The source then lays out this new arsenal for mass control, and the names alone are terrifying. Things like RHESEDOM, which it claims stands for Radio Hypnotic Intracerebral Control and Electronic Dissolution of Memory. It also talks about influencing brainwaves remotely without any implants at all, and even using low-frequency sound you can't even hear, to make whole populations more suggestible.
So, the picture this source paints is, well, it's pretty bleak. It's a warning that this relentless push for control could turn the American dream into what it calls a cybernetic nightmare, where free will is just a thing of the past.
So, at the end of the day, as we see technology getting closer and closer to the human brain, think about things like brain-computer interfaces. The claims in this source, whether you think they're fact or fiction, they leave us with a really chilling question for our own time. As this tech becomes reality, who's holding the remote control?